because this is where the time the men will say, I'm sorry, just to see if she's willing to take him back. It's not a sincere, it's not genuine. It's just a reaction to like, oh shit, I fucked up. Yep. Let me just say I'm sorry, because I'm assuming that's what she wants to hear. And then when she takes me back, then you continue to test the waters, because you're like, well, she took me back one time. All I have to do is say I'm sorry. It should take me back second, third, fourth. And unfortunately, there are some women and men that do that. They'll know that you fucked up. You say I'm sorry. She says, okay, second chance. Happens again. What they do, I'm sorry, and you take them back. You just keep repeating the cycle. And men and women understand that sometimes. So they're like, fuck it. I know all I have to do is this, and I'll be back in good graces again. Instead of just completely saying, yo, it's done, cut it off, and everything else. There is one thing I do want to bring up, which I was dying laughing when I read this. And I know I'm probably going to get some dislike or whatnot. If you're pro PETA, if you're pro animal and everything else, you know, I'm sorry. I don't mean no ill will by me laughing at this stuff, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. So I was reading this article, and apparently is a manager, and he was this happened in Kansas, and apparently he was getting frustrated with his staffers always calling for a day off, calling for time off, because they always had something, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I have an emergency, or hey, you know, I got this happened to me, or hey, you know, I have a death in the family. Like, for some reason, people, all his workers were constantly calling in for days off. And this manager just had enough, fed up, was like, fuck it, I'm not dealing with this bullshit anymore, or whatnot. So this is the manager's response to the workers. And I want your opinion on how you would handle a similar situation where your workers are constantly calling off because of something. How will you handle it? But this is the manager in Kansas. This is how, it's a woman, how she handled it. All right. It says here, the manager was fed up with the staffers constantly complaining that they wanted to, you know, get off work, and it was at a staggering rate. Like, she was just caller after caller, work after worker. Hey, I need off, I need off, I need off, I need off, right? She says, we are no longer tolerating any excuse for calling off. She goes on to say, this is my stand. These are my expectations. If you're sick, you need to come prove it to me. If your dog died, you need to bring him in and prove it to us that he's dead. If it's a family emergency and you can't say too bad, go work somewhere else. What do you think of that? That's the part that had me dying. She said, if your dog died, as proof, not you verbal, you need to bring that dead animal into the work so I can visually see that your dog is dead, or your cat is dead, or whatever. Because it sounds to me like a lot of her workers were probably making some phony shit just to get the time off. And to be a nice person, she was like, okay, you got an emergency, go handle that, whatnot. But apparently it was like, you were calling in Monday, I called in Tuesday, somebody else called in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like, it was just constantly, hey, I need off, I need off, I need off. What do you think of this manager's response? You think that, I mean, I don't think it was appropriate, but do you think she was right? Like, yo, enough is enough. I need to fucking lay the law down.
It reminds me when I was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
We had an NCO, and he was like, if you throw up, don't flush that shit. Let me show it to me. So you'd be like, ugh. He would be like, I threw up right there. And he'd be like, okay, you can go home.
Damn, so you had to prove that you were sick?
I guess you had to prove
you couldn't be like, yo, I need to go to sick call?
Well, you did after you showed up. I threw up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then, but it was like, we're good.
What do you think about that though? Like, how would you have handled that if you were the manager?
Well, it depends. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of job is it? And this is what I mean by that. This is I think people who have companies found this out during the pandemic and are still finding it out. $8.50 isn't enough to put up with the bullshit at Walmart, or however much I get paid. Like, right. People are saying, fuck, I'm tired of this shit, right? Like, at some point, there was a people who are sitting there saying like it's not worth it or it is worth it. And that's always your choice. You have the choice to say, I don't think I'm paid enough for this bullshit, or I need the money, or whatever. That's what the contract you kind of made. And I think as a supervisor, that was a very lazy response, right? Why are people, and if people are calling in, okay, what this work environment that makes it shitty that nobody wants to work here every time?
Right.
Cool. Is there anything that, what am I paying them to do? And I think this is what everything that goes on in life, nobody looks at like a root cause, a root thing. They don't get bothered. So like, hey man, nobody wants to show up for work. Nobody wants to work hard. That could be true. And that could also mean people don't want to put up with the shit. They just don't think it's that valuable anymore. That is what we see what's going on in this world right now. People do not think it's not worth their time, or, fuck working at Panda Express because it shits there because like everybody speaks a different language and there's no Chinese good food.
United Nations Panda Express.
Yeah, you said it, I didn't, but right? I'm not putting on with that bullshit no more. Hey man, fair enough. Like, like I said, and you go some places and they're paying you $8. Like I worked at Walmart for 1 month, right? So I worked there for 1 month when I got out of the military. And they were like, hey, we'll give you full time, we'll give you benefits. And I was like, okay, cool, man. So I'll go work there. So I worked there, and they were like, well, we're not giving you full benefits yet. You got to be here for a certain amount of time. Okay, cool. We'll give you 32 hours. Well, that's not full time, but I need the money, right? So I'm working there. It was like $8.50 or $8.60 an hour, some dumb shit like that. And so I'm working in the meat department, and I look around, and so I'm like, they're kind of introducing me. And they're like, yeah, I've been here for this amount of years. And I was like, how much do you make? Like, I make 10 an hour. You're like, okay. And they're like, well, this is a supervisor. I'm like, okay, cool. How long you been here? He's like, 8 years. I'm like, okay. How much do you make? And he goes, 16 an hour. And I was like, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here, because there's no longevity, right? Like that's not enough for me personally to put those things. I have a family. $16 an hour doesn't go that far. And if I'm here for 8 years and I'm a supervisor and I'm putting with bullshit, I don't find that valuable.
Right.
And so I left, right? I quit. But anyways, what I would sit there and say is like, what are we paying people to do? Sometimes if you pay someone really good money, they will work their ass off because they, in their mind, whatever they have, they've said there and said, that's a good cause. That's a good reason. And for some other people, they sit there and say like, fuck that. Like, I don't, maybe I can't survive or whatever. And so I think that's what we're doing in our world right now is we're trying to figure out like, how much should I pay you? Because companies want, like, the way a company works is they ask their shareholders. Right.
Right.
And so they got to make sure they increase the margin and make profit and stuff like that. And that's their responsibility. It's not to the worker. But at the same time frame, the worker is looking, we have a new shift that's going on in this country where we look at capitalism as wrong, but it's not. They're like, well, you can't get the job done without that. And then the employers are like, without my investment, you don't have a job. Right. We both need each other. We just need to figure out where do we both work at harmony. Unfortunately, it seems like the newer culture doesn't seem what it was the previous generations. Yeah. They want more time off. They want 4-hour work days. They want more this. They want this. They want benefits. Like what they said at Twitter, like how much the food was costing. They want work to be enjoyable. Where probably the couple generations before we're sitting there saying, you give me a paycheck, we have a handshake, or you give me a pension, I'll be here for the next 30 years.
Yep.
And nowadays, right, like when we go to people, like younger people, if you look at their resumes, they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. If you're maybe a couple of generations, maybe 2-3 jobs, maybe you've been there for 10, 20 years or whatever. And that might be a problem. Now, if you're a veteran, like I have been, where your jobs are all over the fucking place, you know what I mean? Some people don't like that. Some people look at you and be like, you're too much of a risk because you're going to be here, you're going to be here, there.
Right.
But a lot of stuff is, hey, you know what? We're just trying to figure out fucking life, especially for us vets, right? We went into the military, we did a job. You did a job for 20 years. Never once did you probably ask yourself, is this what I was meant to, whatever. You had a mission, you did it, you did your 20 years. Now, the next point is when you go to your next job, is that for 20 years or is that for 2? Or, what do you say? Like, fuck that. I don't want to do this no more. And so I think as veterans, we're having the hardest time right now trying to figure out like, this is the first time that I get to do something for myself, but I don't know how to ask myself that question of what do I want to do? What makes me happy? What makes me purpose? And does this also help feed the table?
Yeah, because even with the veterans, like I see a lot on LinkedIn, a lot of them post or, about they got rejected, they've received a bunch of rejection emails and everything else. And it's hard because when we were in the service, we only got fired if we did something really, really dumb.
Right.
criminal activity or something like that nonsense, that's when you knew you were being let go. But your job security was always there. You didn't have to worry about the rejection emails or applying for this job or that job. You were given opportunity based off on how well you did at work, your EPRs and things like that. But the way now a lot of these veterans are hurting because of the fact that they never had to deal with that type of structure. Now they're like, man, I'm fucking hurting here. I've been denied. This is my 6th interview that I've gone on, or my 10th interview that I've gone on. Nobody wants to hire me. What the fuck is going on? And then they start to think, man, I wish I was back in the military because I didn't have to deal with these fucking obstacles that I'm dealing with now. And unfortunately, it's not many people can just chill and not have to go back into the workforce right away. Not many people are fortunate like that. But some of these people do depend on the jobs. I mean, I'm on so many military pages, with veterans and stuff like that, that I see them asking online, like they're asking people that they don't know about just because they feel it's on a veteran page, asking people for help, asking people, can you loan me money? And they'll put down their whole story like, oh, I'm divorced. My wife took my house, the kids. I'm currently homeless, like this and this and that. Like, can somebody please help me? And I see the responses, I see people like, hey, PM me or call me. Let's talk about it, whatever. And it's just really hard for them to adapt and adjust sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it does suck. It really does. But with that manager, I could see where enough is enough, but there's also a way of approaching it in a tactful manner. That whole thing with, if your dog is dead, like you need to bring the corpse to me, that's ridiculous. Like
that reminds me of safety briefing though. Somebody had to come up, someone be like, I know you don't have fucking 7 dogs, Kevin. Like every week, Kevin, one of your dogs is dying. Shut the fuck up, Kevin. You've never talked about a dog ever once, Kevin. And it's a Kevin. It's a Kevin or like a Ron or some shit like that.
But the thing also is that now you get pushback because now they're going to take you to HR because you're not being sympathetic to their needs. You're not fucking allowing them to take care. If it's a pet, I'm not a pet owner. I don't like pets. I don't mind that people have pets, but I would never have one in my house. I would never be a dog guy, a cat guy, or anything like that. But if I'm your manager and you bring it up to me, I need to take my pet here, I'll probably feel bad for you because it's your pet. But then if that's always going to be the excuse, then I'm going to be like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But then there's the pushback. There's like, oh, you're mean. You're not being sympathetic to my needs. Why you don't care? This and this and that. But then again, it's like, yo, we're here to do a work. You know what I'm saying? We're not running a fucking a pet shop here. We need to take care of work. And if that's an issue, then you need to have a plan to be able to handle that recurring issue. How many times in the military, what's the first thing they ask for anybody? What's your emergency plan? Your emergency family plan? What is it? Especially for the women who were pregnant. What's your plan? You know what I'm saying? Because I used to have so many of my controllers, they'd be like, hey, I need to go pick up my kid at CDC. Okay. But do you have somebody coming in to relieve you? Is somebody going to come cover the rest of your shift? You know what I'm saying? If that's not going to happen, then you need to ask management in the back if somebody could sit in for you to go handle what you need to handle. But if that can't happen, guess what? You ain't going nowhere because you should have had a plan. You should have known if things like this are going to happen, then you need to have a plan to be like, okay, this is my next course in action. First sergeants always said that. Where's your family emergency plan? Where is that? Let me see it. Before you start maternity leave, let me see the plan. Let me see that you have one on file so that way I know that you are taken care of if something goes down. How many times that parents deployed? What's your plan? Oh, what am I going to do with my kids? Oh, I can't go on my deployment because I have my kids. The military don't give a shit. You're going on your deployment. You can't miss it. You're up. So you need to figure out what's your emergency family plan. Same thing in the civilian world. If you're going to bring up this whole pet stuff to me, you need to have a plan. Plain and simple.
So what I gather from this one is you should become an HR department. You'd be the perfect person. And when they start interviewing you, asking you, like, what is your strengths? Don't give them strengths. Just rant about this shit. And they'll be like, you're perfect for this job. Because HR, like seriously, HR is not for the employees. HR is for the employer to make sure they're not doing anything illegal. Like, just remember that shit from the get-go. HR department isn't for the employees. It's to make sure that it takes care of the legal part for the employer to make sure they're not doing anything illegal to those people. That's it. They don't owe you shit. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't even work for you. They can care less about your ass.
Because
make sure you have all your stuff.
What people fail to understand, like the military, and they always used to say this, it's a revolving door, dude. You came in, did 20 years. Guess what? The door is open for you to get the fuck out. And somebody new is signing up right now to come in and give us another 20 years. Same thing in the civilian sector. Really. If you fucking think that you can't, if the pet thing is going to be a situation, guess what? See you later. Because I'm going to find somebody else that's going to be willing to come in and not give us the fucking issues that we're having with you. It's a revolving door.
Actually, that revolving door has stopped in the military when they changed that fucking shit. Nobody's doing that shit no more. The 20-year generation is slowly retiring in the next couple years, right? The new retirement program, no one's going to do 20 no more. What's the point of doing 20, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, and then also the civilian world saw this shit too. That's one of our economy is having issues right now because our job sector is so fucking strong because it took so long to get people, because for 2 years or a year or however the fuck we got stimulus checks, motherfuckers didn't have to work. They could sit at home and watch Netflix and just chill and get what it feel like to be Izzy. And they love that shit. They're addicted to that shit now. And now people are having problems hiring people. I mean, think about it. Panda Express is hiring for $16 an hour.
Yep.
And I actually know that story you're talking about because it came from Panda Express. It came from a lady. Her name was Karen, and she's a manager at a Panda Express. Apparently, a Panda Express has a really big problem with people skipping out of work. We're just fucking around, Panda Express. I swear to fucking God, if you try to sue me, I'm gonna call a big social media about your picking on the veteran.
He said she was Karen.
Yeah, it's a fucking joke, Panda Express. Yeah.
Only
next thing you know, I'm gonna start seeing like fucking fortune cookies on my doorstep. Be like, fuck, they're mad. I'm sorry. And then you're gonna start seeing me on commercials and be like, why is he like just eating Panda Express in a commercial?
You're gonna be the spokesperson for Panda Express.
Yeah, why are you doing this? How much are you getting money? No, I'm not getting sued. They fucking got me.
They're gonna paint your face like a panda. You're gonna put on some panda ears. Like, wear this fucking costume now.
Do you remember all that?
All that
from the 90s, like Nickelodeon and shit like that. So they're gonna have the Panda Express, like the thing. I'm gonna have to like go through it, break through it, and be like, "Eat here, it's amazing food," and then be like, "Fuck, Panda Express got me again."
Now in Spanish,
yeah, fucking dance. Like, God damn it, I'm
dance. Dance.
And then the worst part, fucking man. South Park's gonna put me on the episode, and then like my life's ruined. Like, now I'm fucked.
Yo, if South Park got away with so much shit, we don't have nothing to worry about. I don't know how that show is still on the air, but they got away with so much shit, man.
They tricked everyone to think like, hey, we're just doing like Terrence and Phillip jokes, and then they got really fucking serious.
Dude, serious.
And then by the time they got really serious, they were like, holy shit, were you actually making a true statement about Al Gore? And we never really paid like, yes. So anyways, if y'all ever see me on Panda Express, I don't know what it is with me and Panda Express. It's probably because, United Nations works there.
You should go buy stock in Panda Express.
I should do a fucking hunger strike at Panda Express and sit there. I'm not leaving until I see some good food. Like, I've been here for 30 days. There's
Vegans
no good food.
unite. Let's go, vegans.
I think they have vegan food, actually. I think they have like vegan cauliflower, like chicken chow mein or some shit like that. Like,
have you ever ate any vegan food? Like,
yeah, I've actually done. Like, so I was actually, I will end it on this because I gotta go take care of the little one. But I went vegetarian for 8 months. I didn't go vegan, but I went vegetarian for like 8 months. I think I went vegetarian for a couple months and went pescatarian, and I got fucking sick. I really didn't really like it. It didn't do me very well. I was trying something new. I want to see the digestive system and stuff like that. I've been reading. I was like, fuck it, we'll try it. And I'm a person who requires a lot of protein. I don't require a lot of fats. I require little fats, high protein, and little carbs. I can survive off like under 100 carbs and 150 grams of fat, but I need like at least a minimum of 180 grams of protein minimum.
Yeah.
So these are bare minimums for me. And so it's not that much. It's not that much food. And I can survive off those things because I just don't require that, but I require a lot of protein. And I went vegetarian and it fucking sucked, man. I actually ate rotten broccoli for months. Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't rotten broccoli that I ate on purpose.
Yeah.
It was the wife made it, and then I didn't tell her that it was rotten for like a long time because I have it good. My wife cooks for me. Like my food is like weighed out. It's like you have this much amount of grams of protein, this much like that. And so I was on purposely eating like the broccoli was bad, but I didn't want to tell my wife because, dude, do you know what it's like? Or you don't know what it's like, obviously, but.
I do. I know what it's like.
No, you don't. We know you don't. It's okay. Fucking Judy and junior high didn't do this for you. But anyways, my food is like prepared for me. It's weighed out for me. It's like, it's always good. And it's like, okay, you can have this amount of fats. It's like calculated for me for that day. I know you're not used to that stuff. So I know this is a foreign concept, but it's okay. It's one of the benefits of being married. No, you don't. But it's okay. This is not one where you have to match me and we recognize. I get it.
Okay.
You're a eunuch. It's okay. Anyways, so we're doing that shit. What? You're not a eunuch?
I am.
You know what a eunuch is?
What is it?
You don't fucking.
What is it?
Fucking master's guy over here has a master's is like, I'm a eunuch. Yeah, okay. I'll let you ponder that one really quick. You're a eunuch, but it's on Game of Thrones, just in case you're wondering. Are you a eunuch though?
What's a eunuch?
Are you just like? I mean, you said you are, so you are, right? Okay, that makes sense. I can see why you've been single.
I'm gonna
for so
have
long.
to look at Game of Thrones. Now you're bringing up references from Game of Thrones being fucking off the air for 30 years.
First of all, you brought up Sopranos that I've never seen, so I don't know what you're referencing. I just know been off the air for a long time. Game of Thrones is maybe a couple years. I don't know. I've only watched some of that show, but it's a word, so you should look that up.
Okay,
and then you should look up "Am I a eunuch?" and see what it tells you. And then once you do that, go to meatspin.com and then look up eunuch. Am I a eunuch on meatspin.com?
It's bad that you know that stuff.
You should go to Meatspin right now. Just go to Meatspin real quick.
But finish your story. So your wife cooks for you and everything else, and you were eating bad broccoli.
The story's done because you're a eunuch and you won't mention it. I can't get past this thought now. I can't imagine you as a eunuch. Now it's weird. Every time I look at you, you're a eunuch. It's weird.
Is that it? That's the end of the story.
I guess so. It's all the mojo's gone now. It's you don't know what a eunuch is.
So let me end it here so that way you could go be with the little one. So I was watching this news reporter. He was talking to this lady. She was a vegan. She was complaining about him eating meat and all this stuff, killing the animals, the cows, whatever the case would be. So he said to her, he goes, well, you eating avocado and nuts and things like that, that they kill bees to make that. And she looked at him and he was like, you do realize that the avocado that you're eating is from them murdering bees. And she was like, she didn't say that. He goes, you know what? Just because of that you didn't even know that the avocado you were eating were from bees that were being murdered. The assistant comes in and he opens up a McDonald's bag. He's, I'm going to eat this fucking Big Mac in front of you because I like meat and you like bees being murdered. Chomp, chomp, and just ate it right in front of her. I was like, there you go. That's why I'm not vegan. I like meat.
Well, first of all, McDonald's meat.
Yeah.
That's half, 50% meat. So he's a fucking ignorant too. I think that was because it's the same shit. Are you looking up eunuch? I can see the fucking.
I am.
All right.
It doesn't have anything on here.
What?
It says unicorn unique.
No. So
how do you spell eunuch?
Just sit there and say, am I a eunuch? Put man eunuch.
It just says man unicorn.
No, it's not man unicorn.
UNIQ?
What? Eunuch? No, it's UNIC.
Yeah. And that's what comes up. It says report it. Oh, you're spelling it wrong. It's EUNUCH who has
no,
been
it's eunuch. No,
yeah,
it's
eunuch.
No, UrbanDictionary.com.
Yeah, it says it here eunuch, but they have it here UNIC, and it's the bald-headed guy from Game of Thrones.
That's not that. I'm talking about Urban Dictionary eunuch.
I know, but it says here man who has been castrated.
Yes, that's the definition.
Yeah, even the warriors were that. They were castrated as well.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You said you were, so you're a warrior now, right? Is that what you're going with?
That's what I'm going with.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, that's what we're
Not too
ending
much
it
about
at.
you now. Yeah, it's, I
Merry
guess.
Christmas, Happy New Year's, Feliz Navidad, Prospero año y felicidad, Bon année. That's all I know on how to say Happy New Year's and Merry Christmas.